I have now flipped the on button on both, and I see that the audio levels are present and accounted for, so we think that that's probably working satisfactorily. Kevin set it all up before we left and set the audio up, so all I'd have to do is hit start
And you did.
and stop, and I have done that. Although yesterday there was a trick to it. It defaulted to the old audio, and the sound wasn't there in the beginning portion of the program. So, but one of our good Texas listeners sent us a note, says, "Can hear you."
Yeah,
So-
and that is why I say we have 6 billion potential listeners
yeah, well said.
and watchers, because anybody with a computer around the world can. And, the fact that there are between 5 and 15 who do, not billion, but people, individuals, it's growing. And I think when Kevin comes back, and I always hate to speculate like this, I think when Kevin comes back and he works some more as the director of the video, we're going to see a lot of improvements. I saw some last week when I was here. I think you weren't here, perhaps on Friday. And he had the entire 3-camera system, logos, whatever you call the script at the bottom of the screen. And we don't have that this week because we don't have Kevin. But we do have that picture of a shiny head and a bearded young guy.
All right. So, long story short, the webcam is up and running.
I made it the long story.
You cannot be any clearer about that. The On the Mark program, sponsored by the Sunbury Motor Company, family-owned dealership since 1915, 4th Street, Sunbury, and routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Find out more about them at sunburymotors.com. One of the things you can do is just do it for fun, even if you're not going to buy a new vehicle in the days or weeks or months ahead. Just go to sunburymotors.com, click on Build a Ford, and you can build a Ford car or truck to precisely the specifications you like. You can even find out how much it's going to cost you when the time, because the price is included. You can pick the engine, the interior, colors, maybe a towing package on a truck, or ultra-high gasoline mileage on a car, and you can you can even start backwards. Start with one accoutrement that's critical, like a big fat trailer hitch, and then build a truck or a Explorer, or, well, you can put a hitch on all the cars, really. So find out, sunburymotors.com, and you can click on the coupon for the Works Fuel Saver package if you're just going to take good care of your existing car. Lenape Solar email in basket open. Email on the market at wkok.com. We'll read your email on the radio. Lenape Solar would like to hook you up with Fujitsu HVAC ductless high efficiency heating and cooling for your home. It's very simple. A very small unit outside. You can run 2, 3, even 4 units inside with 1 unit outside, and they just connect a small pipe almost the size of a garden hose from the outside to the inside. So that's what goes to the wall wherever the heat exchanger is inside the home. No heat exchangers in the attics, no flooding, no leaking, nothing like that. It's just a good system to apply supplementary heat or supplementary cooling and an efficient way to your home. It's a heat pump, planet friendly, and you can check it out at lenapesolar.com. They would just love to help you out.
You could almost boil that whole story down, because boy was that confusing inside out. I ended up in a wall. I think you could boil that all down to say, save money, ain't expensive, not much to put in, and these people are experts.
Well, how about this? If it gets hot this summer, you'll have air conditioning without putting anything in the window.
There you go. I mean, that's the good stuff. And go to Lenape because they know what they're doing. That's what you need to do is like the Ford Motor Company, Groninger Insurance, Lenape. You go to people who have the expertise.
Well, you mentioned Groninger. That's funny, but they often have a question mark that precedes their conversation.
Yeah, where the heck is our new place? I can't find it.
That's not the question they have.
Are you paying too much for your insurance?
That's right. Let Groninger give you a second opinion. GroningerInsurance.com is the place to set it up. They promise they will exceed your expectations, make sure your insurance needs are met, and answer all of your questions. GroningerInsurance.com recently purchased a Shamrock Insurance Agency, thanks to the retirement of the good owner there. Now the Groninger boys, along with Paul and Bell, are making sure that more people are super served by the Groninger Insurance Agency, GroningerInsurance.com. I am Mark Lawrence, substandard host of the show.
Oh, no. Come on. You are the best, absolutely the best primary host on this entire talk show. every day, Monday through Friday.
Thank you. Okay, well, that's well said, since I'm the only
Top
one.
of the line. Top of
Right.
the line. You
And
are the line, as a matter of fact.
I'm the whole line. So we have the producer number 1A in the entire universe on the other side of the glass, Rob Center, selector of occasional appropriate bumper music, but he is in charge of some of the music for FM stations. He's the program director for WMLP, The Valley, and Eagle. He is Dixie's dad, I guess, in a manner of speaking, and is a good pine nutter like me, or well, I'm a pine nutter. Might be a good one.
Since Dixie is a dog, I'm going to miss all the puns that I just thought of.
Oh, sorry.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Good morning, Rob. How are
Good
you
morning,
this
guys.
morning?
Good. How are you?
Just fine.
Good.
Just fine.
I do appreciate that.
Happy Hump Day.
Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah, we're almost there. And let's see, he's filling in for the vacationing Kevin Herr. I don't know what Kevin is doing. Kevin has a very sparse Facebook presence anyway, and when on vacation it disappears altogether, so I have no idea. But you can bet he's enjoying some R&R. So
it surprises me he has sparse Facebook because he is so electronically tuned in and hooked up. I have sparse Facebook. I go there once in a while and say, wow, there's an awful lot of words here and some pictures. And then I leave. Kevin, I thought, would be on it all the time. Hopefully he's on a beach someplace and doesn't even have his cell phone out. That's not it.
Yeah, I doubt it. He's probably trying to hook up guests for the Steve Jones show and all that sort of thing. So Kevin has the day off. And across from me, the wisdom of Winfield. He's the teacher from Turbitville. He is Than Mitchell. He's been in the radio business for the better part of half a century.
Over a half a century.
Over half a century.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah.
smokes. So grew up not far from Mountain Lake in Bradford County, in the area that
Exactly.
is now an industrial park, thanks to Governor Rendell and Governor Corbett, and is a what do we want to say? Not ultra liberal, but a real free thinker.
Well, I think of myself as rather conservative constitutionally. I do think people's grandmothers should be taken care of. I think we should take care of our veterans. I may be anti-war. I'm not anti-veteran. I think we should take care of the children and our health. And I guess that makes me a liberal. I always thought that it made me something of a kind of a constitutional person who believes we all work together to make the country work.
Well, okay.
So there.
Why is that not easy to do?
Well, I don't know. But I was thinking about, you had a great conversation with Joe McGranahan. Yesterday it was something else. But before that, you had talked about the children coming in from Central America into Texas. It's a horrible, tragic problem. And I was listening to Joe say, well, you just send them back. You know what he says, what that sentence means? Let them die. Because those people came here, their parents sent them here, because some of the drug cartels in some of the Central American countries go to a family and say, you got 4 kids, one of them is going to come work with us. And they pick that one. If that one doesn't come, somebody gets killed. So they send that child to the United States. And we have somebody who says, just let them, send them back.
Find their rightful family and send them back.
Yeah, I think maybe it's a lack of understanding, because we know Joe McGranahan is a very caring person. A person with a lot. If somebody needed a sandwich along the street, he wouldn't judge them, he would feed them. But someplace here he has lost that. Why is it these kids are coming here? It's because they're in grave danger.
All right, 1-800-795-9565 is the Groninger Insurance Line. We invite you to call in. We have open phones today on the same subject of turning kids away at the border, or accepting them and then sending them back to from whence they came, and not Mexico in many cases, but elsewhere in Central America. One of our listeners says, actually, you can complexify it all you wish, Than. I made up that word. And he says, it's pretty simple, guys. Put up a wall at the southern border. We already have a process in order to become a legal citizen of the U.S. Keep that. Anybody here illegally does not become a citizen. Maintain the current deportation process, and over time this will work itself out without draining our monetary resources. To answer Than's questions, yes, we need a southern wall for security, hardly unequal to the Berlin Wall. The United States has plenty of legal methods of entry and exit. People are free to come and go as they please using the legal methods afforded them.
You know, that was something that we talked about when I was here with Ben, because Ben said, secure the southern border. And I kept asking him, how do you do that? And he said, by securing the southern border. Well, somehow I think you need more. Building a wall through, I can't remember the number of miles that is our southern border, that would be the Berlin Wall. I mean, that was what it would amount to. It would say to people, you're not welcome here. I don't care who you are. I don't think we could even do it. I don't think it's possible. And I think as soon as you cover that whole area, there are all these places where you can come in by boat. We're not going to stop illegal immigration. We have to figure out a way to deal with people who are not documented. And sending them back, anybody here illegal, send them back. Does he have any idea what that would cost?
Well, what are the problems associated with illegal immigration? Okay, so we have people coming in the U.S. What's the problem?
I ask that question myself. Obviously, there are criminals, but we have some living here. We
have our own criminals.
We have our own criminals, so it's not odd that a small percentage of people are criminals. Let me see. They can't use our systems and don't, because if they were to sign up for one of our health systems, they would be shown to be undocumented and sent out of the country. And don't forget, President Obama, and there are a lot of ways to screw around with the numbers, but Obama is right on track with sending out more people, more immigrants back to their countries than any president before. There are ways of screwing around with the numbers that says only it's about equal with Bush, but I'm very upset with the president for sending out so many people, and I think thoughtlessly. The upside of people here, they work. They take care of people. They take care of children. They're often nannies. They're often people who work in the fields where it is so hot that we can't find people who will do it. That may be the upside, and the other one is they are able to sustain themselves where possibly they couldn't when they were in Central America, in Mexico, or wherever it be. They can sustain themselves, they can eat and feed their children, maybe get some more education for the kids, and become good citizens.
All right, join us in this conversation, folks. We're just specifically talking about the children dumped at the U.S.-Mexican border. I guess they come in the U.S. and then drop them off and then leave?
I guess there are various ways of doing it, but there are holding cells with hundreds and hundreds of children. And I'm afraid, though we try, and Texas tries, I'm sure, we're not really doing a good job at taking care of them.
Cindy, enlighten us on this conversation, if you would, please.
Hi, Cindy.
Well, I do so recognizing that I will be described in derogatory terms later, but I believe that we need to have an honest discussion. And I don't think we need to mischaracterize each other's motives or what their philosophy are. Please take my comments on their face. We spend in Pennsylvania about $14,000 a child. Any illegal immigrant child in the United States of America by Supreme Court fiat is entitled to a free public education. Now, if we buy the story that these children are unaccompanied by their parents, no one is paying taxes on their behalf. So every dollar that goes to them, and they're entitled to $14,000 a year minimum, that is children who don't require English as a second language intervention or special education intervention, which I'm sure many of these children, if not all of them, will need English as a second language intervention. That's more costs. That cost is put upon the state and the local taxpayers. Now, because they are here without parents who don't have health insurance, children are immediately put into, as we know, the welfare system in terms of receiving health benefits. And again, those dollars come from the people of America. So the suggestion that these children won't receive social services and education benefits is just false. That's just patently false. No matter whether you think it's right or wrong or fair or unfair, or however you want to characterize it, it is the truth that they will get those things. So I think if we're going to have a discussion about that, let's be honest about it. These children, assuming they're unaccompanied by their parents who won't be earning any money to support them, will become dependents of the state. And when I think about the government being in charge of these children, what comes to mind is a movie I just watched last weekend called The Rabbit-Proof Fence, which talks about the government taking charge of the Aboriginal children in Australia. And the whole time I watched that movie, I thought about things like the Carlisle School, where the Indian children were taken over by the government and raised in the government's philosophy. I don't think anybody thinks either what they did to the Aboriginal children or what happened here in the United States to the Native American children was acceptable in any way. So then I wonder why we would want to visit that on anyone else's child when we know that it was wrong 100 years ago,
Cindy,
when we did it to the Indian children.
Cindy, I don't have any nasty things to say to you at all, and I hope I never did in the past. I don't talk behind your back either. But I have to say, I have a question about your position, and I don't disagree with your position. I don't disagree that the children should be taken care of. I do disagree that most adults go to take care of or get our social services. They can't, or they'll be exposed. What would you do with a room full of children who are going to be possibly killed if they are sent back to their home country? What would you do? You're the president now, Cindy. How are you going to solve this problem of children everywhere running around your feet, knowing that if you move them back to their home country, they are in dire danger? What are you going to do?
I think about what we have a humanitarian system here in this country, and we take people in whose children whose families assert that if they remain in their country of origin, they will be in danger. And a good example would be the Tsarnaev brothers, who came to this country with their parents, received a free public education. And by the way, no matter what you may think, it's pretty clearly documented that that family lived on welfare benefits. And whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's simply the truth. I'm not assigning a good or bad to it. I'm just saying that's true. Anyone who looks it up can see that that family lived on welfare benefits.
Okay.
After the parents returned to their country, the children were permitted to stay and finish and received, in the younger brother's case, public education. Now, how did they return that favor to the people of the United States of America?
Well, you've picked an absolutely horrible example that is so tragic that it's that it's not the normal. It's not the norm. The norm is not that. The norm is people trying to support a family, trying to help their children. Now, are there people who are absolutely terrible folks? Absolutely, but they're not an example of the people coming in, Cindy.
Well, I can give you another example then, if you prefer. Of the, I think there were 20 plus people in the bombings that happened on 9/11, and of those 20-some people, 19 of them were visa overstays. People we generously welcomed into our country, gave them access to our education system. In particular, many were student visa overstays. And I ask you again, how did they return that act of generosity, that act of consideration? So, and I would say in a pretty ugly way. I understand
Cindy,
the problem that
I have to stop
Some
you there.
people find their government unacceptable,
I
but
have to
that does not make this government the only answer. Thank you.
Okay, I have to stop you there. You can actually continue the thought if you don't mind holding through the break. I got to play the break so I get that done, and then
Well,
we
I'll
can.
go so I can work around the house.
Oh.
Maybe I'll. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. We're
Thank
not
you.
going to say anything behind your back.
Yeah, really do appreciate it. Well thought out thoughts, and I honestly I think this is such a multi-dimensional. This is like a chess game. This is not checkers. This is.
And I was with
very
her all the
complex.
way until she started using those examples of the worst of people.
All right,
And we have the worst of people here as well.
we'll take a quick break. We'll continue our conversation in a moment.
While looking for a vehicle, you know that if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. You get the runaround, gotta go from place to place. Well, you can just skip all of that and go straight to Sunbury Motor Company. Sunbury Motor Company has been satisfying more customers and selling more cars since 1915, so you know they've got it right. No offers that look good on paper or online, and then you get disappointed when you see them in person. Sunbury Motor Company offers a lineup few other auto dealers in the area can compete with. With the inventory of Ford, Hyundai, Kia, and Lincoln vehicles, there will be no problem finding the right vehicle that fits your needs and your budget. And the friendly, knowledgeable staff's ready and able to help you with everything from the test drive to the drive off the lot. See for yourself at Sunbury Motors. Sunbury Motors, Ford, Lincoln, Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Look for them online anytime at sunburymotors.com.
All loans subject to on-deck score approval must be in business at least 1 year to apply. Are you a small business owner who needs working capital? At On Deck, we can help. We focus on your business operations and cash flow, not just your personal credit score. And we're ready to help with loans of up to $250,000. True business loans, not a credit card advance. On Deck provides financing to hundreds of different types of businesses like restaurants, auto body shops, healthcare, and service providers. So if you've been frustrated by the paperwork and long decision times of traditional lenders, see why so many small business owners are turning to On Deck for the funding they need. Call now and speak with an On Deck funding specialist. Our simple application process takes just minutes, and funding could be available in just one business day. On Deck has an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and is backed by Google Ventures. We've provided over $1 billion nationwide to businesses like yours, so visit us at ondeck.com or call us now at 800-325-6384. That's 800-325-6384. 800-325-6384.
Well, congressional scrutiny of the NCAA's handling of athletics is growing, with members of Congress asking pointed questions to top officials. We'll talk about what's next for the NCAA. 3 to 5 today, News Radio 1070 WKOK.
All right, welcome back to WKOK Live Telephone Talk Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Very much appreciated. Glad to see all of you on the radio. 2 emails related to our discussion about children being dumped in the U.S. and potentially being sent back, certainly being harbored and welcomed at this point. Cindy, Caitlin, third smartest woman in the world, says, Cindy calls these refugees illegal immigrant children. I call them children. Why shouldn't we make sure that they're healthy, have food, water, shelter, and education? Says Caitlin. And another letter writer, I'm not sure if it's signed. It is signed by Margaret. Says, I have a simple solution for Cindy when it comes to protecting your child. Is there anything that you wouldn't do to keep him or her safe? I think parents who sent their kids to the USA probably feel the same way. Yes, I'm a bleeding heart liberal and wear the tag proudly. We all need to take care of each other in any and every way possible. We are our brother's keepers, says Margaret.
Thank you, Margaret. I agree with that. That's something that Christians keep telling me, that we are our brother's keeper, and then they say, except for the children of other countries. Those we shouldn't keep. We should send
We need
them
a big
back.
fence to keep them.
Yeah, do we have a return address for those people? We need to send them back.
Well, and I think probably related to this immigration conversation is in the Lutheran Church and the Catholic Church and other churches, they use what's called the Revised Common Lectionary, where you slowly sift through the Bible over 3 years to look at the Old Testament, New Testament, and the Psalms and so on. This weekend in the Revised Common Lectionary in the Lutheran Church is the Matthew quote of Jesus, where he says, those who offer a glass of water to a child or a cup of water to a child in the name of a disciple will not lose their reward. So you're sort of raising up your faith when you help children.
Well said. Thank you. Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, it doesn't even need much translation.
No.
You're listening to News Radio 1070 WKOK, GronningerInsurance.com, LenapeSolar.com, SunburyMotors.com websites of our main sponsors. We'll be back. This is WKOK Sunbury.
CBS News, I'm Frank Sedapani. It was the worst showing for the economy since the Great Recession. A government report released a short time ago shows that business activity contracted at an annual rate of almost 3% in the first 3 months of the year. Economist Gus Fauché chalks it up mostly to bad weather and expects current events to look a lot better than past history.
This is in the rearview mirror now. We had some one-time factors that resulted in a contraction in the economy in the first quarter, but we will see a good number of around 4% in the second quarter, and then I think we'll see growth at around 3% at an annual rate in the second half of this year.
Overseas, one of Iraq's next-door neighbors is getting involved in the fight against Sunni militants who've overrun much of the country. Reporter Martin Chuloff has the latest from Baghdad.
The Syrian Air Force, for the first time, has been attacking ISIS targets along the border, and that's with substantial pressure from Iran and from Iraq to actually do something about this threat.
White House officials say additional sanctions against Russia for its moves against Ukraine could be delayed because of positive signs from Moscow. Russia's upper house of parliament has canceled a resolution allowing the use of military force in Ukraine. It did that at the request of President Putin. American crude oil could be finding its way to foreign countries later this summer. Live to CBS News correspondent Heather Bach.
It's a big change. The Commerce Department has given 2 U.S. companies permission to sell a type of ultralight oil overseas. Energy economist Ed Morse predicts this will open the door to more exports.
This is a big step in the direction of, I think, a sea shift change in policy.
He says new technologies allowing companies to tap more American oil. The government banned unrefined oil exports during the Arab oil embargo 40 years ago.
Political analysts who warned against reading too much into the Tea Party's upset of House Republican leader Eric Cantor a few weeks ago can point to what happened in Mississippi and say, "I told you so." Six-term Senator Thad Cochran held on to beat Tea Party challenger Chris McDaniel in a primary runoff. CBS News Director of Elections Anthony Salvanto tells us Cochran won the old-fashioned way.
In counties where turnout increased the most, Cochran's vote was also up from the first go-around, and that was enough to put him over the top. It really was a testament to his campaign's get-out-the-vote efforts.
In other primaries, Congressman James Lankford beat a Tea Party candidate to win the Republican nomination for the Oklahoma Senate seat that Tom Coburn's giving up. Veteran House Democrat Charles Rangel claimed victory in his tight race in New York, but his opponent isn't ready to concede. Hollywood and Broadway are remembering durable character actor Eli Wallach. In a career that spanned more than 6 decades, Wallach was at his best playing the worst of characters.
You sold the casinos and you made fortunes for all of us. Bravo!
Film critic Jeffrey Lyons.
He was a magnificent actor. He could play any kind of role.
Eli Wallach was 98. S&P futures are down 4 points. This is CBS News.
Staples Copy and Print knows you need to promote your business.
Outdoor banners.
Detailing your one-of-a-kind product offering.
Trifold, full-color, double-sided brochures.
As you grow your business.
Business cards, postcards, car magnets.
And your customer base.
Design services, presentations, shipping.
So you go to the one place that has it all and prints it right.
Staples.
Right now, custom banners and posters start at just $6.49. Offer valid on pickup or delivery ends $6.29. Details in-store or online at staples.com/springcopy. Staples. Make more happen.
How do you know the used car you're getting is good? One you can really trust? Well, start with KBB.com's most trusted car brand, backed by an extensive limited warranty, and you've got yourself a certified pre-owned Honda. So get going while the getting is good. Find the one that's right for you at HondaCertified.com. See your Honda dealer for limited warranty details. Based on 2013 Brand Image Awards from Kelley Blue Book. Visit KBB.com for information.
Palestinian prisoners are eating again, and no one is more relieved than Israeli authorities. CBS News correspondent Robert Berger has the story.
About 80 Palestinian prisoners held by Israel have ended a 63-day hunger strike that landed most of them in the hospital. Palestinian official Kadura Faris said a deal was reached with Israeli prison authorities to improve conditions. Israel feared that if any prisoners died, it would have sparked a wave of violence in the Palestinian territories. Robert Berger, CBS News, Jerusalem.
Actor Gary Oldman has apologized for defending Mel Gibson and Alec Baldwin from critics who took offense over comments they had about Jews and homosexuals. Oldman says he's deeply remorseful for remarks to Playboy magazine that he now believes were insensitive. Frank Settapani, CBS News.
I'm Murphy, a service tech at a Quick Lane Tire and Auto Center.
I need help.
They always do.
I'm overdue for an oil change.
No problem.
Tire rotation?
Got it.
Top off the fluid?
Yep.
Check the battery and filters?
Roger.
The sprocket lockets?
No such thing.
Seeing if you're listening.
I haven't stopped.
Today's Saturday, and I don't have an appointment.
Now you do.
Cool.
Very cool.
No appointment necessary. Weekend hours and trained techs ready to give your car the works. Quick Lane is ready to serve. Visit quicklane.com.
I try to put myself out there, but it seems they're all the same, just telling me what I want to hear.
Don't fret. You can find your car insurance soulmate. It's easy at geico.com. You can pay your bill, manage your policy, and you could even save some major cash. If we could reach through the computer to pull your chair out for you and give you a kiss on the hand, we would. Because you deserve to be in a happy, healthy car insurance relationship. That's what life is all about. For a free rate quote, visit geico.com.
News Radio 1070 WKOK presents On the Mark. It's a chance to voice your opinion on the events that affect life in the Susquehanna Valley. Call 1-800-795-9565 or email onthemark@wkok.com. Now, here are your hosts for On the Mark, Mark Lawrence and Than Mitchell.
Greetings and welcome back to the WKOK Live telephone talk show. I'm fiddling with the lights here. I inadvertently turned the microphones off.
I just noticed that people on the can watch you make your mistakes now. It's harder to hide them because I saw you sneak your hand over there and fix it, but so did a potential 6 billion people.
I thought something was wrong. The levels weren't showing. So, and poor Rob is.
I said you were going to blame me, weren't you?
Oh yeah. That's the
levels
engineer.
are off. Blame the producer.
Yeah, Kevin did it.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with that.
He reached out through the webcam, flicked the switch when he was plugging in the lights, and turned the microphones off. And thanks a lot, Kevin.
I'm certainly okay with blaming Kevin when he's not here.
Oh my yes.
Yeah, well, even when he is here, he seems to get a lot of grief. So.
Since I'm retired, I blame him every time I turn around.
I'd make fun of him too if he weren't the smartest engineer in the world. So
that's a problem.
The number one producer in the universe. But number 1A is with us, and that would be Rob Center. He's on the other side of the glass. He's helping to fill in for Kevin this week. I think you're going to be on the mark all week.
Yes, I am.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you're stuck with me.
Well, that's fine.
That's a good thing to be stuck with, Rob.
Thank you so
we
much.
like you all right.
Better than a pitchfork, you know.
We might like your dog better, but we like you.
Dixie.
I might bring her in. She's more popular than I am.
She's a sweetie. She's a nice dog. Let's see. So that is our producer on the other side of the glass. I am Mark Lawrence, above average host of the show, if you listen to Than's observations.
Absolutely.
And Than Mitchell's
taught
here.
you everything you knew.
Well, yeah, that's not all that far off. And Than Mitchell is a free thinker, and he's on the other side of the table here. We thank Kevin for setting up the webcam. It is up and running. It runs well. There are over 7 billion people around the planet, and soon to be 8 billion people. I'm glad to say that thanks to population increase, the size of our potential audience continues to grow.
Absolutely. I'm going to start combing my hair.
Of course, most of them are in China and India, but we're very glad that they have the internet too, so they can watch the On the Mark program, and we do invite you to please.
And interestingly, the way the world is, almost every country has. Most people speak English, at least somewhat, and can understand it, so we don't even have to translate.
Right, we had an intern here who was taught English in elementary school. She says you can learn all your Indian dialect you want, but if you're going to travel on the other side of that border at the end of the country, you're going to need this. And I taught him English.
I traveled only once in Europe. Margaret and I traveled to Holland, and it was amazing. Everybody said, yep, anybody under 50 speaks English. And we would go into a museum, a church, or something like that. That was part of the tour that we were doing ourselves, and we would say, we don't speak your language, and he says, good. I want to speak yours. Tell me if I make any mistakes. And then he or she would stand there and use English by far better than most people in this country, including Margaret and I thought. And it's everybody under 50. That was back in the 70s, so can you imagine, or 90s, I mean. So can you imagine that now it's people in their 70s, everybody under 70 can speak English in
that is
Europe.
And maybe that relates to the immigration conversation that we're having, that we're the go-to country in so many ways for so many people.
We used to have a moral compass that people were really interested in. I heard somebody say that we don't have the standing in the world we used to have. Absolutely we don't, because people now, and less so now perhaps, but a few years ago, people started to truly fear us. We got the respect by standing there saying we're going to kill you if you don't respect us. And I think maybe we have a little better reputation now. But I used to think that the United States, not the only country in the world, but we had a moral compass that people could kind of look to and follow. I'm not sure that that's working as it should.
All right. Well, to be continued. Immigration, a very complex issue. Maybe our global standing is part of it. Maybe the fact that English is a second language for many, many people around the globe as they grow up. And many people are watching the U.S.'s return to that moral compass, if we have, in fact, lost it.
Hopefully.
So we'll see how that is progressing. But we're talking about immigration on our show today, and we'll continue that conversation. And we want to mention our sponsors. We'll do some news headlines, and we'll open up the lines. We're talking about the children who are dumped in the U.S. by individuals from Central America. I'm not quite sure how they get to the U.S., but they end up in the U.S. or on the border somehow, and the U.S. is smart enough to take these individuals in and help wherever necessary. We do not deport children, to the best of my knowledge anyway, without full knowledge of where they're supposed to go. Groninger Insurance Agency is helping to sponsor your opportunity to call and weigh in on this. That number to call is 1-800-795-9565. Groninger sponsors the toll-free line. Groninger Insurance itself is located under the website banner, groningerinsurance.com. They are located at Front and Duke Streets in Northumberland. They're open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5, and Friday, 9 to 4:30, and Saturday by appointment. Again, find them on the web at groningerinsurance.com. Sunbury Motor Company would just love you to visit the Quick Lane and then listen to WKOK on your Wi-Fi while you're there. It's free Wi-Fi at the Quick Lane. Pop open the laptop or get the smartphone tuned in, and you can listen to On the Mark or even watch the webcam while you're there. Use up a lot of their bandwidth for a change. And they'll be happy to see you there, but because they can take care of your state inspection, pump up your fluids, fill up your tires with fluid or whatever it needs to be, Monday through Friday, 7 to 7 at the Quick Lane, and Saturday, 7 to 3, sunburymotors.com. And the Lenape Solar email in basket is open. You simply email onthemark@wkok.com. We've simplified the commercial copy that I've handed here, saying you'll save some money, you won't spend a lot of money, and you'll get inexpensive air conditioning.
Darn right, from people who know what they're talking about.
Exactly. Their website is lenapesolar.com. If you'd actually like to go visit them in person, they would love to see you. Walk through the front door at the old Agway building in Sunbury. It was a Hajoka Plumbing for a time as well, and now it's Lenape Solar, 140 South 2nd Street in Sunbury. They're there to stay, so check them out while you can. 570-286-1496 is the telephone number there. 570-286-1496, or Lenape Solar if you're going to use the internet to check it out. 1-800-795-9565, our open phones. We're talking about the U.S. border, the complexities associated with immigration, some of which is, as Cindy very aptly pointed out, that individuals from other countries can be consumers of services and goods and not necessarily what we would call the average contributor to the economy here. But on the other hand, we try to open our doors sufficiently and embrace and welcome individuals. Not everybody can be a producer of gross national product at all points in their lives. Some become consumers, some a tiny percentage become criminals, and a tiny percentage become national leaders in their fields, whatever it happens to be. So we have this very complex immigration issue. We certainly do not return children unless we know absolutely positively where they're gone.
I hope not.
We don't put them on the bus and say, tell the driver, Wait till you get to somebody,
Yeah, get out at the next stop,
at
wherever
the other
it
end.
might be.
1-800-795-9565. What should we do about this children's immigration issue? Deportation hardly seems appropriate. We have talked about this a little bit, so that's an open phones idea. We also have in Harrisburg a proposal is pending that would relate to liquor stores, rather than just suddenly sell off the liquor stores or to privatize them, a phased-in approach, which if we're going to privatize them, that would be, I think, a satisfactory way to do it, because you have people there that are have been offered a job and a career and an opportunity to work toward a pension and a chance to work there. So do you want to keep that offer going so that you can keep that promise, or do you want to sort of pull that rug out and just flip them into privatization? Maybe those individuals would get jobs, but typically, as you know, state jobs are a little better than others. Those are unionized jobs, and state stores provide a tremendous amount of security, so that factors into that. There's very little underage buying that goes on in Pennsylvania. Of course, taxes are higher, so a lot of folks go down to Delaware or New Jersey or wherever it may be to buy their wine or liquor.
I don't know the taxes would change at that point. I've always been on the fence about this because, certainly I think that a lot of people will be put out of work. What bothers me is that our budget for the Pennsylvania budget, which isn't going to be passed on time this time, was predicated on the liquor stores being sold, and I think the gambling being privatized and all the prisons being privatized. That's speculation. Our budget should not be based on speculation. It should be based on the fact that I'm sure that some of the people called corporations in this state can pay a few more taxes.
This is a tradition in Pennsylvania to pass a budget based on a executive goal, for
it seems to be, yes.
So is that a good thing, that we pass a budget and say, okay, well, by the time it gets back to July of 2014, we'll have the liquor stores will be privatized. That will have worked out. We'll have the $300 million in revenue, additional revenue. Remember, we're already enjoying some revenues from the liquor stores system as it is, but then we'll have 300 million more. And is that a good idea? Or should the budget be passed on things that are already approved? You can have a legislative agenda and increase revenues however you want to.
1-800-795-9565 is the Groninger
How did you know
number. I just looked it up here on my cell phone, and I thought, oh, somebody ought to call that. And we do have an email here that goes back to our discussion of immigration and how to pay for this, the fact that it does cost some money, no doubt.
Right.
Here's a somewhat facetious idea that may cause a change in framing the issue. To please those who say we can't afford to give aid to immigrant children, let's just charge non-violent drug offenders from the largest prison system in the world and use the dollars in a compassionate manner. Couldn't disagree with that at all.
All right, Mike, thanks for checking in. You're on the mark. We got the state liquor system privatization on the table. We talked a little bit about immigration earlier. You are calling in on an Open Phones Wednesday.
Hi, Mike.
Hi. I've been listening for about an hour. I heard Cindy's comments about the immigration. I find them interesting, her point. I disagree. I don't understand how we can begin to make the statement that every first generation has not gotten something for free from the government. And that's what she leads me to believe, that every group that has ever come to this country has automatically got something has automatically paid taxes right away.
Well, probably that's not true. You've got a good point, Mike. Yeah.
I don't see how anybody who's ever had children can even begin to say, we don't want some more. It just astonishes me that we can begin to turn away children.
Well, but on the other hand, the main point that she mentioned, and is quite true, is that there's a tremendous amount of expense associated with accepting our worlds, our globes, downtrodden, or what's the phrase that's on the Statue of Liberty? Our huddled masses. If they show up at our gates and we open up the gate and let a few in, there's expenses associated with that.
And I don't dispute that at all. However, every day we figure out a new way to handle those expenses. If it has to do with liquor privatization, we can use money from the new revenue source that Governor Corbett has led us to believe that will create. That can help pay for children. I really think that we can begin to piece through our budget every year and find a few extra dollars from different line items to help pay for children.
Mike, would you kind of agree with the emailer that I just read, if you heard that perhaps we should leave or let non-violent offenders, particularly drug offenders, out of prison and get rid of that expense and use some of that to help the children?
I think Senator Dalen Leach out of Southeast Pennsylvania has made that argument many times already, that the nonviolent offenders that we pay for every year, every day, that we provide them, those services in the correctional part. I think that would be a good point to start to discuss of how do we start to save some money.
Okay,
especially
thank you,
when
Mike.
corrections in this state take up so much money.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We're talking about immigration at the moment. We'll continue that conversation. 1-800-795-9565. What should we do about children who need a place to stay safely and are in harm's way in another country and get placed in the U.S.? Should we suck up the expense? We are the richest nation in the world in many ways. And so should we extend our generosity to accept the huddled mass of children who want to come here?
Rich or not, it's children we're talking about, not people you say, well, I don't want them here, let's just kick them out. They're little children. Think of your own children when they were growing up. That's who these people are, those little children. They're not, it wouldn't matter if we had no money. We should find a way to feed them and take care of them.
All right, we're going to scan some news headlines when we return from a quick break. You're listening to On the Mark. I am Mark Lawrence. Dan Mitchell's with me. Rob Center's the producer. You're the star of the show when you call us at 1-800-795-9565. That's the Groninger Insurance toll-free line, 1-800-795-9565. You're welcome to email us. It falls right into the Lenape Solar email in basket at onthemark@wkok.com. Our main sponsor is the Sunbury Motor Company.
While looking for a vehicle, you know that if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. You get the runaround, gotta go from place to place. Well, you can just skip all of that and go straight to Sunbury Motor Company. Sunbury Motor Company has been satisfying more customers and selling more cars since 1915, so you know they've got it right. No offers that look good on paper or online, and then you get disappointed when you see them in person. Sunbury Motor Company offers a lineup few other auto dealers in the area can compete with. With the inventory of Ford, Hyundai, Kia, and Lincoln vehicles, there will be no problem finding the right vehicle that fits your needs and your budget. And the friendly, knowledgeable staff's ready and able to help you with everything from the test drive to the drive off the lot. See for yourself at Sunbury Motors. Sunbury Motors, Ford, Lincoln, Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Look for them online anytime at sunburymotors.com.
Safety, safety, safety. I'm saying it 3 times. Studies show you need to hear something 3 times to remember it. So remember, safety, safety, safety is important to me, me, me. That's why I love Grainger. Grainger has the products to help keep our facilities safe and people safer. Say it with me, kid. Safety, safety, safety from Grainger, Grainger, Grainger. When you think safety, think Grainger. Get it? Got it? Good. Call clickgrainger.com/safety or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Here's what identity theft is. This might shock you. eBay just announced a massive data breach. Some 145 million customer records hacked. Identity thieves can use stolen records with your name, address, passwords to assume your identity, then potentially empty your bank accounts, destroy your credit, even drain equity from your home. Identity theft is such a serious crime. No one can stop it all. Protect your good name and your bank accounts with LifeLock Ultimate. Visit lifelock.com now or call 1-800-LifeLock. Network does not cover all transactions.
If you're a fix-it-yourself kind of person or a fix-other-people's-appliances person, the only name you need to know is APW. APW carries all kinds of parts, from small to large, for every name and type of appliance. If it's not in stock, Jerry will gladly order it for you. Don't you wish the rest of your life was as simple? APW in the Peters Appliance Building, Market Street in Sunbury. Fixing it for yourself or fixing it for other people, you're always covered with parts from APW.
This is Tanya Diddy. If you've been wondering how you can save money and the environment for the future, then all you have to do is look to the sun. Let Lenape Solar enlighten you. Lenape Solar installs residential and commercial solar systems, each custom designed to meet your individual needs. And we're committed to buy American products. Making an investment in a solar system today is much more affordable than it was 2 to 3 years ago. And the payback is much quicker. You can trust the experts at Lenape Solar to help enlighten you to a brighter tomorrow, because we're committed to you and to our community. Call us at 286-1496 and start saving today.
I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way.
Yeah, you don't need to say anything more than that. That song perhaps answers what I believe. I can't imagine we're arguing about children. I do understand that it's full of tragedy. But it would be a greater tragedy if we sent children back to a country where we know that they would be killed. Their parents know better than we do.
Oh, they wouldn't be killed.
Okay.
They'd just be in danger.
All right, in danger of being killed. You're right.
We were in danger as children. We could have fallen out of a tree at any time.
At any time.
Okay.
Hardly ever would a drug lord come and take you away, and no policeman would help you, though, back then.
We stood the risk of getting caught and getting spanked for some of our shenanigans.
Learned to be a pretty good liar so you didn't get caught. Yeah, I understand that.
Got hit with a wiffle ball, or not a wiffle ball, but a, what are the little bird that goes over the net? Badminton. Badminton
yeah,
racket.
A bird.
Badminton racket one time. No, not the bird. The racket.
Okay.
All right. Some real quick news headlines here. Speaking of children, Northumberland Borough Council gave their seal of approval last night for a summer lunch program that operates out of the 2nd Street Community Center playground. The board agreed to add the summer food site to the playground with a $5,000 donation from the Degenstein Foundation to staff the site in the summer. And the Northumberland Mayor Len Zabori believes the program is greatly needed to feed needy children in Northumberland. The lunch program begins June 30th and runs until August 15th. Oppenheimer Playground in Sunbury, one of the places where a feeding program is underway. In case you didn't hear, Republicans in the House have, the House Appropriations Committee anyway, have approved a $29 billion budget over Democrats' strong objections. Along a straight party line, the committee voted 21-14 Tuesday to send the bill to the House floor. The bill would not raise taxes to make up for massive shortfalls in tax collections. Rather, it would help fill the gap with revenues that include $380 million from a proposal to privatize the state's wine and liquor operations and $227 million in transfers from special funds. The bill calls for modest increases in funding for public schools and human services. Democrats call the funding increase for schools inadequate. They advocated a new tax on gas drilling and rollbacks of business tax cuts that they said would generate hundreds of millions of dollars. And if you don't have anything nice to say, you can still say it at a village council in New Mexico. A federal judge has come down harshly and critically on village officials who tried to ban critical comments. In the village of Ruidoso near Albuquerque, they had a rule that speakers at the council sessions could only say nice things or neutral comments about personnel, staff, or the council. If you had something negative to say, you had to put it in writing and submit it. The Albuquerque Journal reports that a federal judge declared the rule a violation of free speech rights.
No kidding.
Hard to believe.
Yes.
All right. 1-800-795-9565 is the open phone. Should we just deport children or maybe expedite the process if they go back to their home country, just kill them here in the U.S., or welcome them as we have for many individuals for hundreds of years in the U.S.? 1-800-795-9565 on the mark at WKOK.com. Good morning, Mark. You are on the mark.
Yeah, what did you just say there a minute ago?
Oh, I said, should we kill them? Because that's...
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous, don't you think?
Well, yes, I think so. But that does happen in some cases when if they're sent back.
Well, that really raised my eyebrows a little bit there.
Okay, so that's not
acceptable.
Let's
be reasonable here.
Yeah, okay.
The reason I called, There's several reports that at least 65 to 70% of these so-called children are over 15 years of age. Now, I believe in taking care of the children, getting them all fixed up. I guess they're carrying some diseases that we can't allow to spread. But they definitely have to be sent back. And another thing, if our borders are this porous, I'm very worried about bad people, terrorists getting in this country. So let's take care of them and send them back, because if we don't, we're going to have hundreds of thousands more coming, and we'll just swamp our whole system.
Well, I think what our present effort to stop terrorism does is stops honest people from moving around freely, but probably doesn't do anything really to stop terrorists from moving around freely. I mean, I think that's where, you hear about the borders are porous to individuals who try to get in illegally, whether it's through Canada or from Mexico or via the ocean or wherever it happens to be, that, people can get in the U.S. easy if they want to. It's people who are honest that are slowed down, but our Homeland Security Department is working to stop terrorists, and that's sort of...
they're doing a pretty good job of it, I guess.
Well, yeah, but see, then you have tremendous overreach there, too.
Yes, exactly right, which some of it's unconstitutional. I think you'll agree with that.
Only every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, Patriot Act and the Emergency Powers Act, which the President signs every September to give him rights to... basically overlook the Constitution, do what he wants. It's a scary slope that we're on, but I'm taking care of the kids. Some of them are sick and all, but like I said before, with 65 to 70% of these kids are over 15. There were several reports on that. So we have to be careful what some of these kids are, because are they gang members or what? And to encourage them to stay indefinitely will just bring more into the country. That's my position.
All right, we got you. Send them back.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Take care.
Yeah, thank you. You too. 1-800-795-9565 is our telephone number. We mentioned immigration is hopelessly complex. This idea of constructing a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, that factors into this. Homeland Security factors into it. Terrorism's been mentioned. Children who are in harm's way in their home countries, left on the U.S. border or brought into the U.S. and left here, is a factor in this. Of course, the National Security Administration's tremendous overreach into the private lives of Americans and U.S. soldiers and many, many other people. I mean, watching our emails and snail mails and cell phone calls, and probably watching landline calls too. I don't specifically have note of that, but nonetheless, that is a factor in this. So if you have a porous border, you got to spy on everybody in the U.S. so that you can try to catch terrorism where you can.
But I think when you have a border the size of ours, and we have been just talking about that little bit along the Rio Grande from between Mexico and the United States, we have all of Canada, and we have all the coastlines. I don't see any way we can stop people from coming in. You close the front door, but there's the window right beside it. You close the back door, and there's the side door for people to come in. Now, do I think that this is going to harm us? Don't know. But boy, a whole lot of people I know are immigrants. I'm pretty sure, Mark, that you're not a Native American. I am pretty sure I'm not a Native American. Otherwise, we're all immigrants.
From where do the Mitchells hail?
England. I'm sorry, we have absolutely the most vanilla, bland, white bread background in the world. We're English.
Well, at least you're all talented, and that's the beauty of it.
No. My brother is talented. My parents were talented. Someplace along the line in the gene pool there, they said, well, we got to leave one person
But don't
here.
you think you're such a free thinker and reader and observer of life? Isn't that a skill and a talent that we find valuable? Look, it brought you here.
Well, there are people who are going to think it's not valuable.
I have to put someone there.
You're right. Everybody's got to be someplace. I understand that. Yeah, I have talents, I suppose, but it's not in the art field that I'd like to be in. I would love to be able to sing or play an instrument or paint pictures. And my brother, who has been a professional musician forever, tells me the story. Practice for 10,000 hours, reliably, religiously, and then play in front of somebody. So I don't have the 10,000 hours or the urge to spend 10,000 hours. Anyway, English people are kind of bland. We have a rich background, I suppose. You know, we took over the world there for a while and then lost it. But
who hasn't?
Yeah. Well,
over there.
Quite a few people have not taken over the world. I mean, hardly ever do we hear that Holland has taken over the world. They may be big traders and everything, but they don't take over
They
the
get
world.
took over.
They get took over many times.
And then
Switzerland.
and then put back.
Yeah, but the thing is that we come from all over the place in this country.
Yeah, the Swiss.
Yeah.
They're trying to conquer the world.
You got to look out for them Swiss. But I think that oftentimes the problem becomes people who don't look like us become the problem. And people from Central America are perhaps a little darker skinned and perhaps different facial features and so forth, darker hair maybe, and certainly a different language. And we look and we say, you know, they ain't us. They're not as important as we are. And some of us feel that all human beings are kind of equally important.
We have the arrogance to call them minorities then.
Well, they are minorities, perhaps.
Only in this town, globally.
Well, that's true.
There's a minority, and he's staring at you at the nearest mirror.
And don't forget that men are the minority in this country because women outnumber us. I think they're 51% of the population, so men fear those women because they could take over.
We've cursed our way to the top, so
yes.
we're able to claim we're in charge. 1-800-795-9565. Another quick break. We are talking about immigration. What should happen to children who end up in the U.S.? Last call for questions about that. I just am compelled to say last call for alcohol. I have no idea why.
Well, because that's the next discussion we might have after
there
the break is should we turn over the system to privatized folks, our alcohol system?
I knew that you could snip and tuck and make that alcohol quote work.
So, when it comes to alcohol, there I got some talent.
Right, the tailor from Turbitville is with us right now. 1-800-795-9565. Call us now on immigration. 1-800-795-9565. Or you can email us at onthemark@wkok.com.
For more than 3 years now, Radio PA and PAMatters.com have brought you exclusive monthly conversations with Governor Tom Corbett. It's your chance to have the Governor of Pennsylvania answer your questions and comments on the issues affecting you.
The state has had a very difficult time as a legislature to come up with the resolve to deal with this head on. I said when I ran the first time, I'm going to make the tough decisions, and that's what people want you to make.
Let us answer your question on our next Ask the Governor program. Go to PAMatters.com today and click on the Ask the Governor link at the top of the page.
Important pieces of legislation that play into the budget, not the least of which is the pension issue.
PAMatters.com is also home to exclusive video clips from Ask the Governor, a show honored as Best Public Affairs and Best Talk Show by the Pennsylvania Association of Broadcasters and the PA Associated Press Broadcasters Association.
I'm Governor Tom Corbett. Please join me on Radio PA and PAMatters.com for a discussion on the issues facing our Commonwealth. Submit your questions or comment today.
Ask the Governor on PAMatters.com.
Kohl's Hardware can help you retire to your backyard for an instant vacation escape where you can stretch out in a cushy helicopter hammock swing and relax to the soothing sounds of water in motion with a self-contained fountain. Come on home to Kohl's Hardware for pool chemicals, patio furniture, tiki torches, fire pits, Kingsford charcoal, and more.
Let's go on vacation in your own backyard with everything you need from one convenient store, Kohl's Hardware.
Now at Kohl's Hardware, save up to $20 on Knoebels all-day ride passes. The more you buy, the more you save when you shop at Kohl's Hardware this summer. See store for details.
Cook up your 4th of July celebration on the gold standard of grilling, a quality Weber grill. Kohl's Hardware carries a full line of grilling accessories and offers free assembly and local delivery of all their Weber grills.
Get Kohl's new circular at Kohl'sHardware.com and sign up for exclusive online offers year-round. We're right around the corner, right here in your hometown. Come on home to Kohl's and make your backyard vacation the most relaxing place in town.
Come on home to Kohl's. Kohl's Hardware. Come on home to Kohl's.
Here's something to think about. How do you know if your insurance is the right price?
Have you ever had your insurance reviewed? Do you remember when it was reviewed? And are you getting all the discounts you deserve? Let Groninger Insurance Agency give you a free, no-obligation second opinion on your auto, home, or business insurance. Give the Groninger Insurance Agency a call today at 570-473-8107. They're proud to represent the Erie Insurance Group. It's true, if you're not insured by Groninger Insurance, you're probably paying too much.
Well, congressional scrutiny of the NCAA's handling of athletics is growing, with members of Congress asking pointed questions to top officials. We'll talk about what's next for the NCAA 3 to 5 today. News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Welcome back to the WKOK Live Telephone Talk Show. It is entitled On the Mark. I am Mark Lawrence, host of the show. Very, I mean, I just can't describe it. So happy that you're on the other side of the microphone, Than Mitchell.
I love being here. I've been doing talk. I was realizing the other day that my first interview was in about probably 1960 when I sat down with a game commissioner in Lycoming County.
Really? 54 years ago.
Yeah, and I still enjoy talking with people.
All right, so the better part of a century has been spent with Dan Mitchell on the radio, either here or somewhere else. Rob Center's our producer. I'm Mark Lawrence. The webcam is up and running. We invite you to join the soon-to-be 8 or 9 billion people globally who would be able to watch from China and India and make sure that we're doing a good job here in the studio. Kevin left the lights on and the audio signal clear so you can watch a succinct picture. It's sharper than the old image that had the dark background, and so check us out at WKOK.com. Sponsors the Sunbury Motor Company, Lenape Solar, and Groninger Insurance. We thank them for being part of our show. We've talked about immigration for the first half of the program. Now we're going to switch gears with the last 20 minutes a little bit and talk about this state liquor privatization, other than the fact that the privatization of the state's wine and liquor operations is part of the proposed budget. There's not too much being said specifically about the proposal. A phased-in approach is considered ideal, according to some of the House and Senate leaders, rather than just suddenly, putting out an RFP for people to file their proposal and get involved in running a liquor store or however it would be. But a phased-in approach, I think that certainly would be better than just selling it. But it's a complex issue. So should the state privatize a phased-in approach? 20 years from now, there may not be state stores in Pennsylvania. One of these days we're going to get just the right legislature, and the state stores are going to fall because it's
I suspect so. It is a socialistic turn in what turns out to be a semi-capitalistic country, and I'm not sure it's going to stay. I'm kind of on the fence about which way it should go, but there is one thing that always has been on my mind. I don't like big government. The state looking over our welfare is nice, but it shouldn't have to do with whether we hurt ourselves or not. It's whether I hurt you, Mark. And yeah, the state then has to step in. But they made this liquor store system the way it is, as I understand, to protect us from ourselves. So we'd have to make a special trip to buy liquor, and we wouldn't get drunk as often. I think that's a great goal. It obviously doesn't work. I think that people pretty much take over their own lives, but the state still is our guardian, watching over us every day to make sure that we don't get alcohol we shouldn't get, that we don't get drugs we shouldn't get, that we don't get gambling we shouldn't get, we don't get prostitution that we shouldn't get. Is the state really, should the state be in there to do other than protect us from hurting each other? That's a question I have, and it goes to the liquor store.
Well, and I think so. But there's two answers to that. One, you have a liquor system with family-sustaining wages being paid to thousands of employees, so you don't want to just suddenly stop and turn off that faucet. I mean, that would have a tremendous impact on our economy collectively, and a tremendous negative impact negatively on individuals.
Well, now you're talking about closing the liquor stores. It appears to me, don't know this, that for every liquor store that closes, there will be 1 or 2 private stores that will open.
Potentially. Yeah.
They will need employees, they will need managers, they will need CEOs, and it seems to me that there might be more people going to work for a private liquor system. But I don't know.
Well, I think one of the tremendous advantages that we have with the present state liquor system in Pennsylvania is you do have control. You don't have illegal sales in Pennsylvania. Now, you may have some third-party sales where somebody buys some booze and then it ends up in a teenager's hand, either legally or illegally. Well, I guess it would be illegal no matter what.
It's always illegal, yeah,
but sometimes intentionally, but I think it's possible that teens may steal liquor from someplace or wherever they can get it. But I think third-party purchases would be one way that happens. But other than that, you don't have any teens being sold liquor over the counter at a liquor store in Pennsylvania.
Almost not at all. I would say that is, but I'm not sure that can't be translated to a private company. Private company would lose their business. Now, it wouldn't. I would say that if a liquor store in Sunbury were to serve an underage person, that liquor store would not close. They wouldn't lose their license. I think an employee would be fired. A manager might be fired. I have no idea how that would work. But in a private company, I would say your license, your very business, depends upon you not selling to an underage person.
Well, yeah, I know that's okay to say, but that's what people do is come up with ways to get away with it then, because they can make more profits. I mean, their main goal is to make profit. A secondary goal is to stay compliant with state laws and regulations so you don't get fined. So if you have a profit motive, which nobody in the state liquor system has, but if you have a profit motive at a private store, maybe you'll come up with a way to make a few extra bucks to sell to the 20-somethings who are college students in a town or something like that, so that you can make a little extra money on the side. Now, granted, it's illegal, but I think everybody who's in a regulated business as a private person, whether it's you exceeding the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit, I think everybody pushes the rules a little bit if they feel it helps them. 1-800-795-9565. Call us now. We're talking about the liquor system, and the idea would underage sales be more likely under a privatized system? I say yes. Stan says not necessarily. Is that close enough?
Yeah, that's okay. It's kind of I don't know.
Who knows? 1-800-795-95. Yeah, one thing we haven't seen is a specific liquor privatization proposal that's pending now. 1-800-795-9565. That's the Grundinger Insurance toll-free line. Should we sell off the liquor stores? Would it help protect our children? Would it keep booze out of the hands of teenagers so they never drink and drive if we sell them off? 1-800-795-9565. Lenape Solar email in basket open at onthemark54.com, and our sponsor is the Sunbury Motor Company.
While looking for a vehicle, you know that if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is too good to be true. You get the runaround, gotta go from place to place. Well, you can just skip all of that and go straight to Sunbury Motor Company. Sunbury Motor Company has been satisfying more customers and selling more cars since 1915, so you know they've got it right. No offers that look good on paper or online, and then you get disappointed when you see them in person. Sunbury Motor Company offers a lineup few other auto dealers in the area can compete with. With the inventory of Ford, Hyundai, Kia, and Lincoln vehicles, there will be no problem finding the right vehicle that fits your needs and your budget. And the friendly, knowledgeable staff's ready and able to help you with everything from the test drive to the drive off the lot. See for yourself at Sunbury Motors. Sunbury Motors, Ford, Lincoln, Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Look for them online anytime at sunburymotors.com.
From a backyard blowout barbecue to a black tie event, Chestnut Street Deli is your custom caterer. Class reunions, weddings, business meetings, brunches, birthday parties, anniversaries. You get the idea. No matter the event, Chestnut Street Deli can cater it. They customize your food items to your events from their huge menu, which includes their homemade desserts, or pick up a party tray. And if you need a place to rent the deli. Chestnut Street Deli, 550 Chestnut Street, Sunbury. They cater to you. Call 988-2230. Like them on Facebook.
If you're a fix-it-yourself kind of person or a fix-other-people's-appliances person, the only name you need to know is APW. APW carries all kinds of parts, from small to large, for every name and type of appliance. If it's not in stock, Jerry will gladly order it for you. Don't you wish the rest of your life was as simple? APW in the Peters Appliance Building, Market Street in Sunbury. Fixing it for yourself or fixing it for other people, You're always covered with parts from APW.
Daddy, can I have the keys?
Someday, your little one will want to drive.
Dad, can I have the keys?
And now that they've gone from car seats to car keys, you can only hope they'll drive safely. Go beyond telling your kids to look both ways. Tell them not to talk or text while driving. And if they drink, call you 24/7.
This message brought to you by the stations of Sunbury Broadcasting Corporation, including News Radio 1070 WKOK and Sealands Grove Ford, proud supporters of Susquehanna Smart Drive.
Hey, we are back. We have about 10 minutes left here on The Mark. I'm Fan Mitchell. Across from me is the long-term host here, one of the best in the world, and certainly the best in the studio most days.
What, since 2007?
Yeah, something like
Hosting on The Mark. That's when we started, September of 2007.
2007, is that right?
Yeah, you were there, so you should remember.
And you were there.
Right, 1-800-795-9565. We have the theorist. No, we have the smartest guy in Shamokin on the line. Good morning, Tony. Thanks for...
Hi, Tony. How are you this morning?
Or not.
Well, you're pretty darn smart. Go ahead. You're on the mark.
As far as minors getting booze, I don't think with the state store system that we've had forever, I don't think we ever had a problem getting booze from minors.
But was not from the state store, was it? Wasn't it from a third party?
Without personal knowledge, sometimes.
Yeah, I have no knowledge on that either, but generally I had to ask somebody to go get it for me.
Beer now?
What's that?
Isn't Wise's selling beer?
Oh, yes.
And wine? And Wegmans? Are they having a problem with selling it? Are they having a problem with selling the minors?
I don't think so. I haven't seen any rulings in that direction, and I don't know whether the people who work behind the counter at Wise's, for instance, are state employees or Wise employees. If they're Wise Markets employees, then we now have that kind of privatization.
Right. But people, if they're going to want to get booze underage, they're going to get it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think of the state store system. I mean, I hear conflicting stories that booze is cheaper in other states than it is here. I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh, it definitely is true.
It is true. I mean, I really don't know.
Yeah, it is. Suffice to say. My lovely bride and I go to Rehoboth occasionally, and the comparable bottles are, cents to dollars cheaper there.
And to me, if the system's broke, fix it. If it's not broke, let it ride.
So you think it's not broke, kind of?
I mean, like I said, people are going to get booze no matter what. Minors, whatever.
Would you privatize, or would you keep it the way it is?
I would. If I could get one of the franchises to privatize, I'd privatize.
Okay.
Yeah, I like your beer/Wise's analogy. We know of no underage sales that would ever happen there.
Well,
Highly
for one
controlled.
thing, even I, looking like...
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, have a good day.
Even looking like a really old man walking up to the counter and asking for a six-pack of beer, they make me scan my driver's license.
Right, yeah, and I think it's a good way to do it, because that way you have there's no discretion. Certainly I would not look like somebody who's less than 21 years of age either. But on the other hand, a lot of my peers who are 10, 15 years younger than me look pretty darn young.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. Try that again. I bartended for a while. I really didn't like doing it. I loved sitting on the other side of the bar, but not on the bartending
on the drinking
part.
side.
Yeah, I like the drinking side, but not the other side. But what I found out was, even stone sober, watching people drink, you couldn't really tell whether they could drive a car or not until they stood up and walked.
Okay.
And I feel so sorry for places, restaurants and bars, who serve somebody and that person seems to be doing just fine. A little later they go out and have an accident and the bar gets blamed. And I don't think I'm against that. I think the bar is responsible, but you can't tell every time. Absolutely.
They're in on the blame. They're not to blame.
In on the blame, yes.
1-800-795-9565. Speedy dialers only. We're talking about the state liquor system. If all things were equal, I'd say keep the system as it is and phase it out over the next 100 years so that you have less impact on
I'm surprised
people.
we haven't heard from Harry, who usually has a comment about this sort
Probably
of.
working at a fine local liquor store.
He
in Pennsylvania.
probably is, or he
So-
may be on vacation this week. But he always has a really good position because he, of course, is a liquor store employee, a state employee, and I am sure that it is a fairly good system and all that sort of thing. But I know that he's got some really good opinions.
All right, 1-800-795.
If that's Harry on the phone now.
1-800-795. I believe Harry works at a liquor store, which is going to impact his ability to call at this time of day. 1-800-795-9560. Oh, no, it says not Harry, it's Larry.
Hi, Larry. How are you?
Good morning, Larry. You're on the mark.
I'm okay. I'm okay. How are you?
Okay, what's on your mind this morning, Larry?
Well, I just find it interesting that people think the state is going to be better at preventing minors from getting liquor because my brother used to work at a liquor store in the busy season, and when he was asked, or when he asked about carding, they said, well, if it's really busy, don't worry about it. It's not like they're going to take our liquor license from us. We're the state.
Okay, well, that is not company policy. That was an individual speaking to him who misspoke because the state has very strong policies towards that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but do you hear often, or I don't hear often, let me put it that way, about underage people getting booze from the source of a liquor store? Getting it from a third party or underneath the sink from their parents, yeah.
Okay, but
No,
you're
I
saying...
don't hear about it often.
All right, we got you. Thank you very much, Larry.
Yep, thanks
so
a lot.
Different perspective, so we'll take it on face value because we know that teens do end up with booze, so it's got to come from someplace.
From someplace, yeah.
All right, one of our listeners, not signed, says, leave it as it is, the state liquor control system. There's more accountability this way and less chance of accidental sales to minors.
And I think that's your point, isn't it, Mark?
Well, that's one of my points, but I think it's a good system. It's a revenue producer. It's relatively safe. There's proposals by John Gordner, as we just scanned some recent reports, to sort of decriminalize beer or wine in a greater way, so that maybe you could buy it
like
at
in grocery stores, yeah,
right, that kind of thing. So. I definitely don't think it's broken. I think, plus it's a big revenue producer in Pennsylvania. Plus it's a big job provider, good family-sustaining jobs. If you do want to privatize it, if the legislature thinks that's important, I think it's important they do it in a phased-in fashion over a number of years.
I really like that idea better than anything else I have heard, because an instant change, I think, would be quite a speed bump. And there would be people put out of work and so forth. But if slowly we put beer and wine in grocery stores, still controlled by the state, as it is, I suspect, at Wise's and Giant and Wegmans and the rest of the places that have it, and we put wine in there, ultimately we could put the harder boozes in. As the system is working, the state would still have some control, but it would be in private hands at the marketplace. I don't know. This is one of those that I've thought about since I was a kid, and everybody says we are a capitalist country. We don't allow socialism. We have a state-operated liquor system. And I thought, that doesn't match up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. Well, yeah, I think that people think the government should be out of things the government shouldn't be in. And I certainly agree with that. Here I was yesterday advocating for a relaxation of zoning rules. So now, but it's okay that the state runs the liquor sales.
Well, as I said, I'm going to sleep outside of town at Marktopia.
Well, and there's no camping. No, stop it.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no open burning outside the wall either. And there's no wall. It's just a azalea fence. But anyway, now I lost my train of thought. Oh, Larry pointed out when he called in that, I'm greatly overstating the amount of security that's involved at the state liquor stores. So if that's true, and we'll assume that Larry's telling the absolute God honest truth, that sales to minors does happen in a greater way than I think at liquor stores, then I think that is another factor in this complex conversation.
However, you can't just use an occasional mess up as being the thing that changes the direction, because human beings are always going. We all cheat at one time or another. You mentioned going over the speed limit. You know, there. I am sure there have been times when, though I was perfectly competent to drive, it might have not been a good idea. That's against the law. And I think that we do squeeze those things occasionally. Sometimes we get caught, as a administrator at a school system around here recently did, and it's going to be a tragedy in that person's life. So occasionally we get caught, occasionally we don't. Mostly, we're pretty law-abiding, I suspect.
Sure, with designated drivers and so on. On this subject of WKOK's On the Mark program, tomorrow Bob Buhner Jr. is going to join us at 8:30 to talk about the new report from the State Attorney General, a woman with whom he has very little respect and this appreciation for this new report that came out. He may have nothing but the utmost appreciation for her. I think I misstated that, but
well, that's an interesting one, because now Tom Corbett's name is cleared. I think she did him a service.
No, I don't think it's cleared.
Ask Bob that tomorrow.
Okay. I think she just said she found no evidence.
That's right.
Which leads me to yell out in the vehicle as I was listening, okay, so they did it all via text messages and verbally. They didn't subpoena his phone records, just his emails. So.
Okay. It's going to be interesting.
You're listening to News Radio. So Bob Buhner Jr. tomorrow, then open phones with Joe McGranna and the co-host Steve Jones calling in Friday to talk about that same topic. This is WKOK Sunbury.
NBC News Radio, I'm Chris Jensing at the White House. The U.S. economy taking a bigger than expected hit early this year as growth contracted nearly 3%. CNBC's Brian Sullivan.
It's the biggest non-recession quarterly drop in 58 years. But here's the thing, weather. This quarter really actually was horrible. People didn't go to restaurants for weeks.
As U.S. officials try to ramp up support for a stronger coalition government in Iraq, a new poll shows most Americans say hands off. NBC Radio.